AITA for telling my in-laws I'll never forgive them, against my pregnant wife's wishes. Trigger warning. 36M, married to my wife, 34F. We have a 3-year-old son and my wife is 6 months pregnant with a girl. I love my wife, and she's way stronger than I am because she's dealt with more in her life than I could ever imagine. My wife was repeatedly sexually abused as a little girl by her paternal grandfather. She told me about this back in college, but hadn't told anyone else about it at that point. Shortly before we got married, she was 27 at the time, she decided she needed to tell her parents what happened and also file a police report because she was terrified it might happen to another child. He was very old at that point, but my wife filed just in case. Long story short, her parents and entire extended family accused her of lying for attention. This devastated my wife, who was close to both of her parents, but especially her father. Things got really tense between my wife and her parents, and they didn't speak for years. They didn't go to our wedding, and they hadn't even met our son until a few days ago. I personally saw how painful it was for my wife, who felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to love and protect her the most. What her grandfather did was obviously disgusting and terrible, but I honestly think she was even more traumatized and heartbroken over her parents' reaction to the abuse. Let's just say there were lots of tear-filled nights, especially around holidays, birthdays, and other big life events. A few days ago, my MIL reached out to my wife out of the blue. According to my wife, my MIL was in tears, and older two of her cousins, their sisters, told their parents they were sexually abused by the grandfather. I guess her parents now believe her because they don't think all three of them would lie about this. My MIL and FIL then got on a plane, they're about an hour flight from us, because they wanted to apologize to my wife in person. They came to our house, met our son for the first time, and had a long talk with my wife saying how sorry they were. The three of them were in tears, and I have to admit that the remorse on my in-laws' part seemed genuine. They at least seemed to realize how badly they fucked up, and I think they'll probably be sorry about it for the rest of their lives. After lots of apologizes, my wife told my in-laws she loves them and forgives them and wants them to be part of our lives. To be honest, I want nothing to do with these people. As a father, I don't understand how you could do that to your own child. I will let my wife have whatever relationship she wants with them, but I don't ever see myself liking or trusting them. I couldn't sit there anymore, so I got up to leave. My wife asked where I was going, and I said I was tired. It was like 6 o'clock. My wife told me to stay, and that she forgives her parents, and I quipped back that I don't and never would. I told my in-laws that they broke my wife's heart and that I can't imagine siding with a child molester over my own child. I also added that my wife is the most caring and trustworthy person I'd ever met, and she'd done nothing to warrant that treatment from her family. My MIL started crying even harder and my FIL repeated his same apologies about how sorry he was. I removed myself and went to bed. When my wife finally came upstairs, she wasn't happy with me. She said her parents are sorry, and wants our kids to have their grandparents in their lives. I said it was her decision, but I'm not going to pretend to like them after how badly they hurt her. My wife asked me to imagine how I would feel if I learned that my father hurt one of our kids. I said I'd be shocked and confused, but my first duty is to her and our children, and so I'd always chose the three of them. My wife kept reiterating that it was a difficult situation, and asked if I could at least try to see their perspective. I told her I'd try for her sake, but again, I don't think I'll ever forgive them. The in-laws have left, luckily, but I can tell my wife is still a bit upset with me. AITA for what I said and how I acted.